A lot of people say you can't ever talk about firing Kyle because another team would want him. He'd be scooped up in 2 seconds. That's fine. That's probably true. At the same time, the Niners have high standards, right? It's like they're like the Cowboys. They're on the quest for 6. They're not just trying to be good. They're on the quest for the 6th Lombardi Trophy. And how long should Kyle Shanahan be allowed to lead the quest for 6? Like, does he get the 40-year Moses in the desert, or is there a certain point where they're like, you know what, it's year 7 and you haven't got a ring? What do you think?
I personally don't think there's an exact year. I think it's relative to what happens within years, and is he consistently going to NFC Championship games? Number one. I mean, like, should the Eagles have really fired Andy Reid? I don't know, maybe, but because there was a level of consistency. Number two,
that's true.
Yeah, number two,
that's
I
true.
think also it's also relative to what else is out there. Like, I know you've given an example of Sean Payton before, but like, if there's another coach out there that you really love, that, like, you don't want to get caught with the, like, what they did before is fired.
Absolutely not. Right. Yeah.
And then there's no plan or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, example, like Bill Belichick through like the wires or whatever was like, yeah, I'd really love to coach the 49ers or something, and you're kind of here on Kyle, then maybe you make that move. But I don't think you definitely don't even consider it if he's winning.
Right.
He's going to NFC Championship
year after year after year. Right, of course. The reason I ask is this is year 6 for him. And there are like 7 or 8 coaches who have been employed longer with their current team. All of them have Super Bowl rings. Every single one. So it seems to me like to get into year 8, 9, 10, most of the time you got to have a ring. Like John Harbaugh, why is he still coaching in Baltimore? Because he won. Pete Carroll, why is he still coaching in Seattle? He won. And so, like, who are the other coaches that have coached as long as Kyle without a ring? There's only one guy, Sean McDermott. And he's a good coach, too. Right now, I'm looking at him. What's going on? I'm like, what's going on? Hello? Am I here? I don't know. Okay, sorry about that. So, Sean McDermott, his record is 52-33. That's cool, and it's better than Kyle's. But eventually, it seems to me like if he doesn't win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen, people are going to start talking about McDermott. Like, hey, man, can he get over the hump? Should we bring in an offensive coach? I feel like these questions come with the territory. It's not just people don't like Kyle. It's put up or shut up in the NFL. And maybe that's not fair because, again, the Eagles fired Andy Reid after a while, and he'd never won a ring, and then he went to Kansas City and did it. But it seems like there are high standards. Different organizations have different standards. And when the Niners, to me, you don't want to look like the Cowboys with Jason Garrett, where you're like, you know what, we're cool just being, 500 and being good some years and having totally. If that's the thing with Kyle, some years it all works, and other years it's like, man, you were awful this year. Your backups weren't prepared at all. Like, what happened? Your whole team got hurt. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that he's in a tough situation where he needs to win. And if he doesn't win this year and he goes into year 7 without a Super Bowl, I just don't see how he brings back Trey Lance as a starter. Like he's not under any urgency. Like that's why I think he might even try to call up Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to be a free agent next year, by the way. And I hear he's getting divorced. So he might just keep playing.
I could need money.
He might just keep playing. So I can see Kyle actually doing something like that. If he gets into year 7 and doesn't have a ring and hasn't gotten fired, dude, go get Kirk Cousins. Go get Aaron Rodgers. Go get Tom Brady. Like, what are you waiting for? You may not have that much more time with the Niners. Now, he would get another job somewhere else. But if you want to make it work here, you might need to do it now.
I was going to bring this up to you, but don't you think it would be like one of the most interesting stories in the NFL would be if the Niners did win the Super Bowl with Jimmy, and then like what the hell they would do after that? Like, would they bring him back, or like that would be fascinating? I think.
I know it would be. I'm thinking if they win a Super Bowl with Jimmy, he would probably have played really well in the playoffs, and probably people would want him to come back. So that would be a good problem to have. I don't see it happening, but if it does, I mean, yeah, that would be a good problem to have to me.
Yeah, it would be a great problem for Niners fans. I mean, I don't think Niners fans care like who if you're at quarterback, they don't really care. Like as long as they win.
It would be a great story, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
guy gets replaced, benched, comes back, wins. Like, wow.
I think it'd be more fascinating if he doesn't like if he just plays okay, like he doesn't light the world on fire. But to go back,
it's very much like the Nick Foles story, right? Got replaced, comes back, is the backup, fills in, wins. Yeah. Yeah.
So and there have been cases where the backup wins and they don't like Phil. What's his name? I forgot the guy.
Hostetler, yeah.
Did it? It's happened a couple times, and they didn't necessarily move on to the backup.
That's a good point.
But to go back with the coaching thing, when the Niners have moved on from successful coaches, it hasn't really worked out immediately. Like when they moved on, they moved on from Mariucci. Then it was Dennis.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. That's true. And that was the Yorks. Those were the Yorks again. So Yorks, if you're watching, you don't just fire a coach to fire him. You really probably want to have the replacement locked up and in the line. And I don't know who that would be. And it's again, we're not talking about firing Kyle yet because he just won last week and he's 2-2. But I just feel like it's funny how people act like you're crazy to have the conversation. Like I think the Yorks should probably be thinking about this. It's year 6. They've been, like, for example, Big Tim 3's over here saying Niners won 5 Super Bowls in a 13-year span. Kyle's been here for half of that time now. When do we get complacent? That's all I'm saying. Is to me, this is an organization that should not be complacent. They're not the freaking Jaguars. It's not just happy to compete. There's a mandate to win a Super Bowl. And I don't know what that timeline is, but it seems like Kyle's been given a very long... Like, McDermott hasn't won one either. McDermott's 20 games over 500. Kyle's 3 games under 500. It's like, okay, Kyle, you've been given a lot of the benefits of the doubt, and I still think if he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, he's not going to get fired. But, man, he's gotten a lot of patience. He's gotten a lot of patience from an organization that's historically hasn't been patient.
Okay, but let's ask, who's the most patient franchise in the league?
Well, Pittsburgh, but they have continued success, and Tomlin's won a Super Bowl. If Tomlin hadn't won that Super Bowl 15 years ago, would he still be employed? I don't know.
The guy before him, Coward, didn't until later, and they were super patient.
That's true.
With him.
That's true.
Like
it's true.
And that when you look at when you change coaches, it's typically rough. Like it takes like a couple times for you to find the next right guy. I don't know.
Or there's the example of the team like the Bucks from the late 90s. That's good, but not good enough. And then you bring in someone else, John Gruden, and you win right away. Or the Warriors, where Mark Jackson, real good but not good enough. You bring in Steve Kerr, you win right away. So I'm just saying the Yorks have to figure out what situation they have. What do you got? Yeah.
I think that's easier to do in basketball just because there's less players and remember when you transition a staff, it's not just just like just replacing the head coach. You're replacing.
But still, you have to decide: is this team underperforming or overperforming? Because a good coach has his guys overperforming, and it seems to me like this team, at least the offense, is underperforming. So if that's the case, then is there someone else that could get the guys to overperform? And if not, then stick with what you got. If the best option is bring back Jim Tom Sula, then don't do that. But if you have people on your line being like, "Hey man, I want to coach the Niners," if you got Tom Brady being like, "Hey, I want to coach the Niners," and Sean Payton's in with me, what's up? Hey, okay, I'll talk. So, New York's got to figure that out. You got to figure out what your options are.
It's interesting that you brought that up because
Kyle already said no to Tom once. Keep going.
I don't believe it's a offensive design or offensive plays. The issue is the quarterback position. I don't think it's Kyle Cohn. It's the quarterback. If you look at their roster is awesome. Everywhere they've made the right moves everywhere. Even the offensive line, which you've criticized, and so have I.
It's okay so far. It's okay so far. Even without Trent Williams, it's okay so far. Yeah.
Yeah, the moves that they're making are solid. It's the quarterback, and then Niners fans and are complaining that they don't get to the ball to the weapons. That's not Kyle. It's all derived on the quarterback.
It's both of them though, man. Kyle's the one who keeps bringing Jimmy back. Kyle's the one who could have had Tom Brady and was like, "Nah, we're gonna stick with Jimmy."
No, right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
He gets the blame for who's in that.
Hell yeah.
But
hell yeah.
When you're looking at the actual game, it's the quarterback. It's the quarterback. He's limited by that quarterback, but it's his fault.
Exactly. And I think the Yorks have to wonder if they don't win the Super Bowl. You have to wonder is Kyle ever going to figure out the quarterback position? Ever. Because he's given him so many opportunities and so much time. The thing with McDermott in Buffalo, that's not the issue. It's you have the best quarterback in the league. Can you win the Super Bowl, man? If not, maybe Sean Payton should come in and work with Josh Allen. There's pressure on him, too. There's pressure on guys when you get into year 6 and year 7, you don't have a ring. It's just the way it is.
Right.
I mean, if your organization has any pride. Unless you want to be Marv Levy.
And I'm not, and I'm the Sean Payton. I'm not so sure Sean Payton is the answer either because
True.
He had And he didn't
True.
find Drew Brees. Like,
Sure.
he just had it, right? You know?
That's true. I'm not saying yeah. Anyway, let's get off the fire Kyle thing because that's not what's going to happen anytime soon. You skipped my question, says George. I did? Oh, my bad. Hold on. Let me get you. Oh, I did. People are sleeping on the Panthers. You're forgetting they have a guy named Brian Burns and Jimmy G still stuck. Still sucks. I'm just saying keep an eye out. Okay. I feel you. Dookie Shoes says, should the Niners try to trade for Jonathan Taylor? No. He's hurt. He's a running back. No. And that's not going to happen. They're not going to trade Jonathan Taylor.